Situated within the Chatsworth estate in Derbyshire is the unique and wonderfully idiosyncratic village of Edensor. Beginning life long ago as a scattering of simple cottages between the River Derwent and Chatsworth House, the village was relocated in 1839 and transformed into a wonderful collection of fanciful villas set in a walled enclosure in the beautiful parkland of the Chatsworth estate. The first significant alterations to the original village were made in 1762, when the 4th Duke of Devonshire demolished several buildings that were obstructing his view of the natural parkland created for him by the famous landscape designer Capability Brown. 70 years later, the construction of a new turnpike through the estate prompted the 6th Duke to complete the demolition of the rest of the village before rehousing its inhabitants in a new Edensor, which he had decided to build for them on a plot of land sited well away from Chatsworth House. The story goes that the Duke was shown a portfolio of house plans drawn up by the architect John Robertson and asked to select his preferred design for the houses that would make up his new village. As he was too busy to make a carefully considered choice, the Duke glanced quickly through the various options presented to him and simply ordered one of each. Whether or not this account is true, it is certainly the case that no two houses in Edensor are the same. Some were designed by Robertson himself, whilst many others were the work of the Duke's talented gardener Joseph Paxton, who came up with his own interpretations of Robertson's house plans. Just a few years after the new Edensor was built, it was already being thought of as a show village. Its extravagant villas were celebrated in a book called Sketches from the Picturesque Village of Edensor, published in 1854, and rules were being enforced to preserve the appearance of the settlement as a model village. High garden walls were constructed to hide the less attractive domestic necessities. Vegetables had to be grown in a designated allotment area, and a communal drying area was provided to ensure no washing lines would be seen elsewhere in the village. There was even a rule that no pigs were allowed. It might be thought that people lucky enough to live in this lovely settlement will enjoy an idyllic existence. But there is one important catch. All the houses were built purely for their external appearance, and consequently many of them have an abundance of poky little rooms. Most of the houses in Edensor are not only ostentatious in style, but are considerably bigger than the type of modest dwellings you would expect to find in a small English village. One house was spared from demolition because the Duke did not want to disturb the tenant, Thomas Holmes, who was an old man at the time. His house, known as Park Cottage, still stands in splendid isolation in a walled garden situated in a hollow a few yards away from Edensor. The church has also been criticised for being too grand for a settlement of this size. However, it could be argued this soaring structure acts as a yardstick that helps reduce the apparent scale of the houses, making them look charming rather than pretentious. The graveyard contains the graves of various members of the Devonshire family, but are much less grand than the large tomb dedicated to the family's famous gardener, Sir Joseph Paxton. The graveyard is also home to a special and yet widely unknown grave of John F. Kennedy's sister, Kathleen. We have produced a whole video on that story which can be found on our channel.